Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the simple act of getting out of a chair feels tougher than it used to? Like your legs need a moment to wake up, or your arms don't carry the same strength anymore. If you're over 60, you're not imagining things. There's a sneaky culprit behind this, an invisible enemy called sarcopenia. And trust me, it's not just about getting older, it's about losing muscle, quietly, slowly, and sometimes without any warning signs. And what's even crazier, there's a daily habit, something most people do without thinking, that could be making this even worse. So, today, we're diving deep, not into some doom and gloom lecture, but into the real everyday things that trigger sarcopenia and how we can fight back, starting now. Stick with me, because once you see how this all connects, you'll never look at your daily routine the same way again. Alright, so here's the deal. Sarcopenia isn't just, oh, I'm aging and I feel weaker. It's the gradual and progressive loss of muscle mass and strength. And yes, it starts earlier than most people think, sometimes as early as your 40s or 50s. But after 60, things speed up. And we're not just talking about a little dip in strength here and there. We're talking about real, measurable changes in your body's ability to function the way it used to. One day, you're lifting grocery bags like a champ, and the next, you're wondering why climbing stairs feels like hiking a mountain. What's wild is that most people don't even notice it happening, because sarcopenia doesn't show up with flashing lights. It creeps in slowly, like that one guest who shows up early to the party and doesn't leave. And get this, by the time you do feel noticeably weaker, you may have already lost a significant chunk of your muscle mass. We're talking 10 to 15% in some cases, maybe even more. And once that happens, it takes a lot more effort to rebuild than it would have taken to maintain it in the first place. Your muscles aren't just for looking toned or staying active. They're tied to everything. Your posture, your stability, even your metabolism. Yep, the less muscle you have, the slower your metabolism gets. That's why some people gain weight, even though they're eating the same or less than before. Plus, muscles act like little engines that burn calories, even when you're resting. So when you lose them, you're not just losing strength, you're losing energy, balance, and the ability to bounce back from life's little physical challenges. And the crazy part? It doesn't take a major injury or a health scare to trigger it. Sometimes, it's just weeks of being too inactive or eating too little protein that pushes your body into the danger zone. The earlier you catch it, the better. But here's the silver lining. Muscle loss isn't a one-way street. You can slow it down. You can even reverse it with the right habits, the right foods, and the right movements. So if you've been thinking that feeling weaker is just part of getting older, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be. You have way more control over this than you think. And once you understand how sarcopenia works and what fuels it, you'll be able to spot those red flags before they become real problems. Trust me, knowing this stuff isn't just helpful, it's empowering. Because when you know what your body needs, you can actually give it a fighting chance. Let's get into the specifics of what's triggering this muscle loss and how to stop it, starting today. In fact, some research suggests that folks over 60 can lose 3% to 8% of their muscle mass every decade. And once you hit 75, that number climbs even faster. But here's what nobody really tells you. Sarcopenia doesn't just mean you can't lift a box of groceries or open a jar. It leads to things like balance problems, increased risk of falls, slower walking speed, and even difficulty getting up from the toilet or climbing stairs. For some people, it becomes a gateway to losing independence altogether. But here's where it gets really interesting, and where that everyday habit comes in. The habit I'm talking about is inactivity. Yep, plain old, sitting still. You see, one of the biggest triggers of sarcopenia is something that looks harmless on the surface, resting too much. And I get it. We all love a cozy chair and a good show, especially after a long day or when retirement hits and the hustle slows down. But here's the kicker. When sitting becomes your most frequent activity, your muscles basically get the memo that they're no longer needed. Your body's an efficiency machine, and if it sees you skipping out on movement, it starts cutting corners, starting with muscle tissue. What begins as a few days of lounging can quickly spiral into weeks of underuse, and before you know it, those strong, supportive muscles start to shrink. And this isn't just about skipping the gym. It's about skipping basic movement. Little things like standing up frequently, walking to the mailbox, even light housework, all of that counts. The more we sit, the less our muscles engage, and over time, that habit becomes a silent muscle thief. It's sneaky because it feels comfortable, even justified, especially if you're feeling tired or stiff. But that very stillness is exactly what accelerates muscle loss. The irony? The less we move, the weaker we get. And the weaker we get, the harder it becomes to move. It's a vicious cycle that often ends with limited mobility, chronic fatigue, and a higher risk of falls and fractures. And most people don't even realize they're caught in that loop until it's already taking a toll on their daily life. I'm not talking about relaxing or sleeping. I mean spending hours on end in front of the TV, scrolling through your phone, or just staying put without moving your body regularly. Because what happens when we don't move? Our muscles don't get stimulated, and when they're not stimulated, they shrink. It's what experts call disuse atrophy. And here's the kicker. Muscle loss from inactivity doesn't take years. It can start in just a few days. Seriously. Some studies have shown that after just 10 days of complete bed rest, older adults can lose up to 16% of their leg muscle strength. That's in less than 2 weeks. And it's not just extreme cases like being in a hospital bed. This kind of loss can also happen during periods of low movement, like after an injury, surgery, or even during a particularly lazy spell where you're barely getting off the couch. I know it sounds wild, but the body responds fast to disuse, especially as we age. When we're younger, we can bounce back quicker, but after 60, the recovery is slower, and the decline is steeper. That's why long periods of stillness can be a serious red flag. What most people don't realize is that even small dips in daily activity, like choosing the elevator instead of stairs or skipping that morning walk, can quietly chip away at our muscle strength. And once you lose a chunk of it, getting it back takes far more effort than maintaining it in the first place. It's like trying to rebuild a house after letting it crumble for months. You can do it, but it takes work. That's why catching this early is key. If we know that inactivity can set off this chain reaction so quickly, then movement, even simple, low-impact movement, becomes our best defense. Now, I get it. After a long day or a rough night of sleep, it's tempting to sit down and rest for a while. But the problem starts when a while turns into hours, then days, then a lifestyle. And when that happens, we're basically giving sarcopenia a VIP invitation to take over our muscles. But inactivity isn't the only factor here. Oh no, there are other everyday mistakes that silently feed into muscle loss. Let's talk about a big one, not eating enough protein. I'll be honest, I used to think I was eating healthy just because I wasn't overeating. But as it turns out, older adults often don't get enough high-quality protein, and that's a major issue. And it's not just about quantity, it's about timing, and quality too. A lot of people eat a small breakfast, a decent lunch, and then load up on protein at dinner, thinking it all balances out. But the body actually responds better when protein intake is spread out evenly throughout the day. Plus, not all protein sources are created equal. A slice of white bread and some peanut butter won't cut it if your muscles are craving leucine-rich fuel, which is what really stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Most older adults need more protein than they did in their younger years, especially if they're trying to preserve or build muscle. And get this, studies suggest that people over 60 should be getting at least 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, not the outdated lower recommendations. That means if someone weighs 70 kilos, they'd need around 84 to 105 grams of protein daily. Sounds like a lot. Maybe, but it's completely doable with the right food choices. Think eggs, chicken, fish, Greek yogurt, lentils, and even some high-protein plant-based options. The real problem is, many older adults lose their appetite or just fall into easy routines, like toast and coffee in the morning, a light sandwich for lunch, and a small dinner. Over time, that mild deficit becomes a muscle-draining cycle. Add inactivity into the mix, and now you've got the perfect storm for sarcopenia. Why? Because our muscles need protein to stay strong and repair themselves. And as we age, we actually become less efficient at processing protein. That means our body needs even more of it to get the same muscle-building effect. Here's something you might not know. The recommended daily intake for protein is around 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, but many experts say older adults need closer to 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram to really maintain muscle. So, for someone who weighs 150 pounds, that's about 82 to 102 grams of protein a day. Yet most seniors barely hit 60 grams, and you can guess what happens next. The body doesn't get what it needs, so it starts eating its own muscle for energy and repair. Scary, right? And no, it's not just about eating more meat. There are plenty of great protein sources that are senior-friendly, and many of them come from plants, dairy, and even some surprising places. For example, foods like cottage cheese, eggs, quinoa, and chickpeas pack a serious protein punch without feeling heavy or hard to digest. But beyond just protein, it's important to realize that muscle health depends on a cocktail of nutrients, like vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, and antioxidants. A deficiency in any of these can slow down muscle repair and growth. Plus, hydration plays a silent but critical role. Dehydration can reduce strength and endurance, making it even harder to stay active. And here's something many overlook. Chronic inflammation, often fueled by poor diet or lifestyle, quietly chips away at muscle tissue over time. When you combine all these factors, low protein, poor nutrient intake, dehydration, inflammation, and inactivity, it's like setting up a perfect trap for muscle loss. So it's no surprise sarcopenia can sneak up on people. It's almost like the body's asking for the right fuel and movement, and if it doesn't get it, it starts breaking down what it already has. That's why focusing on balanced nutrition and staying hydrated isn't just health advice, it's a muscle-saving strategy. Eggs are an excellent choice, easy to prepare and loaded with essential amino acids. Greek yogurt is another powerhouse, especially the plain variety which has more protein and less sugar. Lentils and chickpeas, full of fiber and protein. Tofu is great too, especially if you're looking for plant-based options. And let's not forget fish like salmon or sardines, which pack both protein and healthy fats. Mix it up, make it colorful, and make sure every meal includes a protein anchor, because when your muscles are getting the nutrition they need, they stay active, strong, and ready to support you. But let me ask you this, do you ever skip meals just because you're not hungry? Because here's another thing, appetite tends to decrease as we age, especially after 60. And when that happens, some people naturally start skipping meals or eating only snacks, but that can become a dangerous cycle. Less appetite leads to fewer calories. Fewer calories mean fewer nutrients. Fewer nutrients lead to muscle loss. Muscle loss leads to fatigue, and fatigue kills your appetite even more. It's a vicious spiral that can feel impossible to break once it gets going. But here's the thing, your body still needs fuel, even when your hunger disappears, especially when it comes to muscle-preserving nutrients like protein, vitamins, and minerals. Without these essentials, your muscles start to shrink, your strength declines, and daily tasks become harder. This decline can make you want to move less, which just speeds up the muscle loss even more. It's a cycle that silently steals independence and quality of life. What's tricky is that many seniors don't realize they're caught in this loop until they're already feeling weak and tired. So learning to recognize early signs like decreased appetite, fatigue, or difficulty standing up from a chair is crucial. It's not just about eating more, it's about eating smarter and prioritizing nutrient-rich foods that support muscle health. Small changes, like adding a protein shake or a handful of nuts to your daily routine, can make a massive difference. And remember, even tiny bits of movement, like standing up during TV commercials or light stretching, help break the cycle. Your body is asking for more than just calories. It's asking for quality fuel and movement to stay strong and energized. Now let's talk about something else that's often overlooked, vitamin D. Yeah, I know, it sounds like a sunshine supplement, right? But vitamin D is crucial for your muscles. Low levels of vitamin D are linked to reduced muscle strength, slower reflexes, and even higher chances of falling. And the truth is, many older adults are deficient, especially those who stay indoors a lot or live in cloudy regions. Your muscles actually have vitamin D receptors, which means they rely heavily on this vitamin to contract and work the way they're supposed to. So, Getting enough vitamin D isn't just about keeping your bones healthy and preventing fractures, it's about maintaining real strength, balance, and mobility too. When your vitamin D levels drop, your muscles can feel weak and wobbly, increasing your risk of falls and injuries. This tiny vitamin plays a huge role in helping your muscles respond quickly and efficiently, which is critical for everyday movements like walking, climbing stairs, or even just standing up from a chair. Unfortunately, as we get older, it becomes harder to absorb enough vitamin D naturally, especially if we spend less time outdoors or live in places with limited sunlight. That's why many experts recommend supplements or vitamin D-rich foods to keep those levels up and protect your muscle function. Ignoring this can silently contribute to muscle decline and imbalance, which nobody wants as they age. Some good ways to get more vitamin D? Sunlight is a natural and easy option. Even just 15 minutes a day can help. Fatty fish like salmon and mackerel are loaded with it. Fortified dairy or plant milks are easy to add to your daily routine. And supplements are always an option. Just make sure you talk to your doctor before starting one. Alright, now here's something I wish more people did. Resistance training. Because let me tell you, muscle doesn't maintain itself. You have to use it, or you'll lose it. And the great news is, you don't need a gym. Just basic things like chair squats while you're watching TV, wall push-ups in your kitchen while the coffee's brewing, a couple of light dumbbells or resistance bands in your living room. Doing these 2 or 3 times a week can make a massive difference. Not only does it slow down sarcopenia, it can actually reverse muscle loss in many cases. And if you're sitting there wondering, isn't walking enough to keep my muscles in shape? Well, walking is definitely fantastic for your heart and overall mobility, no doubt about it. But when it comes to really keeping your muscles strong and fighting sarcopenia, walking alone just doesn't cut it. Your muscles need more than just gentle movement. They need resistance, something to push against, to grow and maintain their strength. Think of it like this. Walking is like giving your muscles a light stretch, but resistance training is like putting them through a real workout, making them adapt and grow stronger. So, while walking keeps you moving and can help prevent stiffness or falls, you also need to add in strength exercises to truly preserve your muscle mass and power. Without that, the gradual muscle loss continues, even if you're clocking plenty of steps every day. Plus, resistance training has the bonus of improving your balance and coordination, which are key to preventing falls, the biggest risk for seniors. And here's a little secret. You don't have to lift heavy weights or spend hours in the gym. Simple body weight exercises, resistance bands, or light weights can do wonders. It's all about consistency and making it part of your routine, even just a few times a week. So, here's a question for you. When was the last time you broke a sweat on purpose? Not from stress or heat. I mean good old-fashioned movement, because movement is medicine. It keeps blood flowing, muscles working, and your metabolism in check. Even light daily activity, like cleaning, gardening, or dancing to your favorite song, can go a long way. Let's not forget sleep. You might be surprised to learn that poor sleep can actually accelerate muscle loss. Sleep is when your body repairs and regenerates muscle tissue. So if you're tossing and turning all night or only getting a few hours, your muscles aren't recovering. Try this. Keep a regular sleep schedule so your body knows when to wind down. Avoid caffeine late in the day. It stays in your system longer than you think. Make your bedroom dark and cool, ideal conditions for deep sleep. And turn off screens an hour before bed. Blue light can trick your brain into thinking it's daytime. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's essential, especially if you're trying to protect your strength. Let's do a quick recap, because you've made it this far, and that means you're serious about staying strong. Here's what we've learned. Inactivity is a silent muscle killer. Skipping protein leads to muscle breakdown. Low appetite can cause nutrient gaps. Vitamin D is essential for strength. Resistance training builds and protects muscle, and sleep is your muscle's secret weapon. The good news? It's never too late to fight back. Muscle is a living tissue. It can grow, repair, and recover, even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. And every small habit, every meal with protein, every walk, every stretch, every full night of sleep adds up. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are stronger than you think. Sarcopenia might be sneaky, but now you see it coming. and you know exactly what to do. I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to empower you. Because losing muscle with age isn't inevitable, but doing nothing about it, that's the real risk. Take back your strength, start today, and keep moving, eating, and living with purpose. Because you deserve to feel strong, not just to survive, but to thrive. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that puts your health first. And hey, drop a comment below. What's one thing you're going to start doing today to protect your muscles? I'll be reading them and cheering you on every step of the way. See you in the next video. And remember, your strength is your superpower.